And so maybe I'll just start out. I mean, we're talking about this because of the most recent case involving the murder of the school principal and the 3 people who have been arrested, all of whom had been in detention and none of whom were being detained at the time. Tom Sherwood's co-author, Harry Jaffe, Tom and Harry wrote a book that's probably still available on Amazon about the district back in the 90s. But Harry said that for decades the city has been coddling kid killers and that it's time for new law and order leadership in Washington. You seem to be taking the opposite position of trying to hold off on any crackdown, but why not put violent offenders away instead of putting them in a position where they could prey on people?
And let me just tell the listeners that Tommy Wells is chairman of the Human Services Committee, has direct oversight of the juvenile detention facilities.
I will do what it takes to reduce crime and make the citizens of D.C. safer, and be driven by facts and not by just what's happening at the moment. And so under the mayor's reforms that was started under Anthony Williams, that the recidivism rate of juvenile delinquents has gone down, the ones that have gone through the committed juvenile justice system. Then the other thing is that the number of kids that used to escape from Oak Hill, that's gone down. And then your violent offenders do more time behind barbed wire under this reform than they did before. They used to do about 70 days, now they do over 200 days. But that said, that while we do have kids that go into group homes and they abscond, there's no level of abscondence that's tolerable. Even though they say they brought the rate down, that I'm going to have a hearing within 10 days, and we're going to ask the mayor to say zero tolerance for any abscondence. When kids walk away, when kids run away from a group home, got to bring them back. But we've had 2 incidences of escapes from New Beginnings, and that was over a year ago, and none since then. And there's never been an escape by the Youth Services from the Youth Services Center, where we hold kids to pre-trial, and that holds over 80 kids. That's been open for 5 years, never had an escape. But violent offenders, they need to do time we need the community to be safe. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is that the community be safer for these reforms.
But is that good enough? I mean, you can't catch these people once they get out because there are too many of them on the streets, and we all know that. So why not change what the process is so that it isn't possible for a violent offender to get out after 200 days? Why not have them in there for years?
Well, they eventually are. We don't lock up juveniles for the rest of their life generally. They will eventually get out. And so what we want is that when they get out is that they don't reoffend. We know that when juveniles go to adult prison, they come out more likely to commit a violent offense against us. And so if we just create more violent folks, we're not making us safer. We'll feel good for a little while, but not after they come back more violent. And so we really need to be smart and be data-driven, and that we make decisions and policy decisions on what will make the community safer. And so as long as we drive down the recidivism rate, but I also agree there needs to be zero tolerance for kids on abscondence.
But they're not sought. I think it's one of the issues is that it's commonly said among them that, well, once you get out, they're so busy, they're so short-staffed that they don't come look for you.
That's exactly right.
And they go back right to the neighborhoods in which where everyone knows where they are.
You're exactly right, Tom. You can find these kids. No kid should be able to walk away from a facility and not be retrieved within 48 or 72 hours. And so that's why I'll hold the hearing and call on the mayor that they have zero tolerance. They know where the kids are. They can find them. They just have to make it a priority. But I understand there's thousands of bench warrants on adults at any given day, and that it's a resource issue. But I think in light of the recent events, we cannot tolerate, especially any kid that's committed a violent crime and they walk away from a group home or wherever they've been placed. We need to get them within 48 hours, and that needs to be zero tolerance.